Welcome to Joyful Money, the sales and business growth podcast for female coaches, consultants, and service providers who are ready to confidently lead their business, master their sales process, and create consistent 10K months. I am your host, Joy Rowland, certified business growth strategist, money mindset mentor, and your guide to selling with alignment, authority, and ease. Each week, we'll talk strategy, mindset, and energetics so you can attract dream clients, close high ticket offers with confidence, and build the profitable, joyful business you deserve. Let's dive into today's episode. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this exciting episode of the Joyful Money podcast. I'm super thrilled because I have a treat for you guys. I have an amazing human being who has done amazing things in the world. And I think the icing on the cake is she's a woman. So I am so excited about our conversation today. Her name is Katarina Hanssens Carlsson. Welcome to the show, Katarina.
Thank you so much, Joy. It is indeed a joy to be with you and to connect with you.
I'm so excited. So before we dive in, can you please introduce yourself to my audience?
Yes, I'm an entrepreneurial blueprint consultant. It sounds like quite a mouthful, but I work with entrepreneurs or people who want to be entrepreneurs on three levels. So some clients come to me and they say, well, I have no idea. I want to start a business. I want to leave corporate. I've got to leave corporate, but I have no idea what business. I can help them in one day starting. Okay. The next level is stuck, because most entrepreneurs at some point get stuck. I can help you get unstuck in one day. And the third level is scaling, because we all need to scale. Once we've got everything into shape, we've got the structure, we've got the systems, we've got the strategies, then we need to scale. And for that, you need to have a blueprint that is extraordinary. Because if you want extraordinary results, you need to be extraordinary. And we all have that in us. So the blueprint will bring that out. So that's me.
Wow, you're speaking my language. I love that you use the word extraordinary because I am that kind of person as well. I want illogical success, right? So I love how you just introduced yourself, and we're going to dive in because you have amazing wisdom that I think my audience are going to benefit from. So, first of all, you mentioned there in your intro that you can help people in just one day. And I'm like, wow, isn't that amazing that you can help people get unstuck in just one day? And the reason I love this topic, Katarina, so much is because I have been doing research for the past couple of days. And surprisingly, I found out that so many women businesses, I think 1.9% of women businesses, I'm just trying to grab the statistic so I am quoting the statistic correctly. So only 1.9% of women owned businesses ever reach $1 million in annual revenue. 1.9 million. It doesn't stop there. 44% of women owned businesses report being unprofitable. And the last statistic is nearly half of all non-employer firms owned by women bring in less than $10,000 a year. Half, 48% bring in 10,000. Oh my God. Like, this is really saddening statistics for women. So I love that we're having this conversation because this podcast is all about joyful money, how to make money the joyful way. And we don't apologize for wanting to create wealth here in this podcast. So I want you to dive in deeper into how you help people on their entrepreneurial journey. So you mentioned number one, if you are trying to get out of corporate, and number two, if you are stuck, and number three, if you want to scale. So I want you to go through those three levels and tell us how you help people on their entrepreneurial journey.
Right. So these are great questions. Thank you, Joy. So there are people leaving corporate in millions worldwide. Why? Because AI is taking over their jobs. and doing a good job, and then you hardly have to pay AI anything. So people think, oh my God, how do I leave corporate, create a business, and make an income that matches my salary, because my salary is good, so people don't want to leave corporate. Well, first of all, you have to know, it sounds very simple, but it's actually quite complex. You have to know who you are as an entrepreneur. You have to reinvent your identity. You cannot, I think why many, not only women, but why many people fail is that they don't recreate themselves as entrepreneurs. They think, oh, well, I can just be corporate and start a business and it's entrepreneurial. Well, no, that's not how it works. You have to know your entrepreneurial identity, because we have a driving force within our human nature to stay consistent with who we are. And this identity is absolutely crucial. You have to know who you are, because if you don't know who you are, and if you cannot express yourself with confidence, well, why should your clients work with you? Because they don't know who they are. Yeah, most people don't know who they are. We're dumbed down in schools. We leave school completely lost, most of us. Even if we become doctors or PhDs, many people are still lost. So in one day, in a consultation with me, you find your entrepreneurial identity, you find your driving purpose, you find your 1 year, 3 year, 5 year vision and goals that are very specific, how much you're going to make in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years. And we tend to overestimate what we can do in 1 year, but we underestimate what you can do in 5 years. In 5 years, you can actually make $1 million as long as you are aligned with your identity, your driving purpose, and your vision. Plus, why do 60% of, at least, of all businesses, not just women's businesses, but all businesses fail? It's close to 90% in the first 5 years. Why? Because we don't know our sabotage strategy. Now, what is that? Well, we all have a reptilian brain. This is neuroscience, but I'm going to explain it very, very simply. We have a reptilian brain which affects the way we think, and it affects the way we act. The way we think, the way we think about ourselves, and the way we act. And it's there to keep us safe and small, and not for us to grow, because it wants control over us. What I call that the inner enemy. It's much more real than any other challenge that can come to us from the outside. It's much more real, and we can change it. We can reinvent it. Why? Because we have way more power within us than our sabotage strategy. But we've given away our power to the sabotage strategy, and it works on 2 levels, and it has an outcome. It works. It has taken, for example, if everyone at some point has gone through some kind of trauma. We've made up our minds in that trauma, in that story, like it's a bad story, it's a nightmare. We've got a negative statement, identity statement about who we are at our worst. And that affects our business, our relationships, our finances, and finally our health. And there's another level to it. It's a bad habit. We all have a bad habit. It could be procrastination. It could be if many of my clients, or some of my clients, had a tough childhood. Some were even abused. Now, in that moment, they may say to themselves, well, I can't defend myself. I'm beaten, I'm abused, whatever that is. And so my revenge is I'm not going to communicate. And if you don't communicate in business, you're sunk. You really are sunk, especially in this day of information. You have to get out there, be on podcasts, you have to post, keep your message coming the whole time. So that's That's the first part of the question, but it actually answers the second part of the question, which is scaling. It's the same thing. Or
Mm.
sorry, if you're stuck, it means your sabotage strategy is actually in power and you are not. So during the entrepreneurial consultation on 3 levels, we reinvent the sabotage strategy. Why? Because it's a liar. It was true at that one particular point. It may have been true, but what is the test of truth? That it's always been true in the past, it's true now, and always will be. So,
Mm.
if you say to yourself, for example, oh, I'm a failure. Well, maybe you were a failure at that particular point. My take on failure is the only failure is to quit
Yes.
or to quit life. That's the final failure. It's to commit suicide. So if you keep going and you know that you're on the right path and you keep going, you will succeed in the end. And it takes time. So on 3 levels, where you're starting, you're stuck, you're scaling, you need to grow into your greatness. You need to grow into your vision, especially when you're scaling. You need to become the greatest version of yourself if you're going to scale and create a vision that's extraordinary.
Oh gosh, I love this so much. Thank you, because I can so relate to every single thing you've said. And I love that you call it the reptilian brain. I call it the limbic brain. I call it the toddler brain, that part of our brain that wants to keep us safe. So
Ah,
I'm curious, and I know people listening will be too. I know you help people who want to leave corporate. So, based off of your experience and all of the people you have helped, what kind of business do they typically create when they are coming out of corporate?
it's joy. That's an extraordinary question. Everybody's unique, and I must have helped over 1,000 people in the
Mm.
last few years, and no business is exactly the same as anybody else's. It's absolutely extraordinary, and that's what's so powerful about the entrepreneurial blueprint consultation, because it's all about you.
Mm.
Uh, it wasn't about you in school. It was about learning lessons, taking information, and then recreating this information in a test or an exam. And that doesn't expand you. So very few people have a real understanding of who they are, what they're really up to, what their driving purpose is, what their wow idea is, and everybody's absolutely unique. So there's no one set of uh, driving purposes that fits all. And that's
Yeah.
wonderful, because then we don't have competition. We're doing something completely unique. Every single snowflake, Joy, as you know, is absolutely different. It's different. I mean, we have trillions and trillions and trillions. We can't even count the number. Every single snowflake is different. And it's the same
Mm.
with human beings. Every single person is different. Even if you're a twin or a triplet, you're different. So
Yes.
your business is different. Yeah.
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 Thank you so much. I love that so much. The reason I asked that question is some people might be listening, and like we said, they have a comfortable salary, but they feel this nudge inside of their gut that they need to have something to fall back on, or they want to leave corporate entirely. However, they are kind of petrified about what kind of business to start. And they're like, oh my gosh, am I going to be successful? Is anyone going to buy from me? So all of those noise coming into their mind from wherever is keeping them stuck from actually deciding to start a business. So I love how you explain that every single individual is different and you work with them based off of their identity and you're going to help them find that identity. So thank you so much for that.
You're very
The
welcome.
next question I have, Katarina, is for people who the people I work with, for example, women, they struggle to sell themselves. And no wonder these statistics are so stacked about women businesses. So this podcast is tailored to women, and that's why I keep referring to women. So in your experience, how do you help women grow a successful business? So I'll give you an example. When people come to me, they struggle to even sell their skills, services, and experiences. They struggle to receive money. So, for example, they work in corporate, right? And they're okay having a salary paid to them every month. But then when it comes to going and asking people to pay them as entrepreneurs, they feel so hesitant to receive money. Do you understand what I mean? So,
Yes.
how do you help people with that transition?
Okay, great question. First of all, they need to take the focus off themselves and focus on their potential client and be
Mm,
a giver. Be a giver and provide. If we focus on sell, market, we're going to fail because
mm,
people don't want to be sold to. And these days we have branding, so-called experts, digital marketers, and they come at you and they don't connect with you. So,
mm,
number one, I would say to women, connect with yourself. Connect with the greatest part within you. Connect with your heart, your soul, your spirit, first of all. Because your heart, your soul, your spirit is absolute confidence. So it's nothing
mm,
to be nervous about. And then shift your focus to your potential client, the person you're talking to, and listen to them. Find their pain points. And if you
mm.
can genuinely help them, then you can say, I have something for you. But first of all, I'd like to give you a gift. And most people go, oh, what's that? Well, it could be a chapter in your book. It could be 15 minutes of your time that you actually work with them for free. It's a gift. And then if your client is happy with the first 15 minutes, then you say, okay, so after the first 15 minutes, I'm going to be charging you, and this is what it costs. So if you're happy for the first 15 minutes, let's continue. So it's building a relationship, building confidence, not throwing stuff at people. And it's knowing who you are and that you're on the right path. So if you have your blueprint and you know, I'm aligned with my driving purpose. I love my driving purpose. I have a vision and I will accomplish that vision no matter what it takes. I will accomplish that. And I enjoy what I do. That whole energy is contagious. People love that kind of energy.
I feel like I'm hearing myself. The way you just spoke, and I say all the time, you just have to decide. Decide you're going to succeed, and then you're gonna take aligned actions.
Yes.
So thank you so much for that. I know I'm gonna replay this episode for myself because you are giving us amazing nuggets.
Thank you.
Now, I want you to talk about why most business plans set people up to fail.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great question. Everybody thinks, well, I'll leave corporate, I'll have a business plan, I'll get a business plan expert to help me, and I'll create the structure, and I'll create the systems, and I'm going to succeed. No.
Mm,
Why? Because you have to start with yourself. You are the business, right? To
yeah.
start with, at least. You are the business. So if you don't know who you are, you've got a fantastic business plan, you've got all the structures and systems. But if you don't know who you are and you're not aligned to your driving purpose, or you don't even know your driving purpose really, or your offer, and you're not aligned with the vision, and you don't know your sabotage strategy, of course it's going to fail because your sabotage strategy will come up and say, hey, who do you think you are? You think you're going to just start a business just like this? Well, you've got this systems and strategies. And don't get me wrong, systems and strategies are absolutely essential. But first of all, your blueprint. Who are you?
Mm,
What are you up to? Where are you going? Then the how, then the systems, then the structure. And I'd like to tell you, I've been looking for years and years for a coach or a systems expert, a scaling expert. And finally, I found one, because I'm not a coach. I will do your blueprint, but I have someone to send people to, so that you get the blueprint and you go straight to him. He's international and he scales, and he's absolutely brilliant. And he's real and he's spiritual. So,
Mm,
yeah. So you can trust
yeah.
him.
I love that so much because like we can get the most amazing blueprint, but until we take action. And I feel like that's where a coach can help us to keep us accountable to take those actions that will
Yes.
get us the results. So I love that so much. Now, one of the things you talk about is the ultimate guide to identifying our one through true business path before we take the leap. So, can you tell us more about that?
The one true, say it again,
Business,
please.
yeah, the one true business path before someone takes the leap from corporate to entrepreneurship.
Okay. So I'm going to be repeating myself because it's very much the same. It's, you have to know who you are, what you're going to be up to. You need to know your vision, and you need to know your sabotage strategy and reinvent that. And I would also say, don't leave corporate before you're making some money.
Mm,
Don't, because it's going to increase your anxiety, whether you're married or not, whether you've got children or not. We've all got to pay the bills, and we don't want that kind of anxiety. So I would suggest having a Sunday entrepreneurial business, and you work on your Sundays, and you work maybe the whole Sunday, put everything into it, and start small and just keep going. And eventually you will, as long as you're aligned, as long as you're real, you will make money, and you'll also be receiving a salary so you can pay your bills. So it might take 6 months, it might take a year, but stay in corporate as long as they will have you. But I would recommend for everyone, even if you think, well, AI will never take my job, I would recommend for everyone to have an entrepreneurial business on the side, just in case, because we have no idea what the future will bring us. In 5 years, 10 years, how many jobs will actually just disappear?
yes. I agree. I am heavily involved in AI and I build AI models. And in fact, one of the latest model I have built can replace 10 receptionists. Just one AI can do the job, talk like a human being, think like a human being. Like it's just so crazy. So I love that you've mentioned AI because that's the reality. AI is taking over. And so we have to be smart to create, I want to say, a sovereign future for ourselves so that we are not stuck in 5 years when changes become very real. Katarina, I know you have an age-old neuroscience lesson about how to accelerate our business. Can you tell us more about that?
Okay, so it's back to neuroscience again. But I just want to say something about AI. I've just written a newsletter, and it says entrepreneurship is a spiritual game. And I'm
Mm,
beginning to believe, because AI is so essential in our businesses, and AI, I'm wondering, there's a dark side to AI. I know that, AI can get into our privacy, our private lives, know not everything about us, etc. But there's a light side, and I'm wondering. My question is AI? Can AI be a spiritual game too? And I
mm,
think it can. I think it can really help us. So, an age old, we're back to the same thing. It's being aligned It's neuroscience. Know thyself. It comes from ancient Greece. Know thyself and nothing in excess. Okay, so everything in moderation. So we've actually been dumbed down in schools. Dr. George Land, 62 years ago, he created a research program based on NASA that interviewed young children, teenagers, and the same people when they were adults. So they started off as creative geniuses up to the age of 6. Children are linguistic geniuses. They should be learning 3 languages before 6 because they think languages are fun. And their linguistic brain is very, very active. They think communication is fun. They want to know why for everything. And they have so many solutions to everything. And they're so full of life and so full of energy. What happens in school is they get dumbed down. So from the 98% creative genius, by the time they're teenagers, it's down to 12%. That's why teenagers have so much anxiety, the most they've ever had, because our school system is industrialized. We're creating compliant workers, but we don't need that. You know, we're in the age of information, moving into a spiritual age now, that children can get information anywhere. They can find their history lesson. They can do their history lesson in 10 minutes. The teacher will take 1 hour. And by the time these same young people become adults, their creative genius is down to 2%. So from 98 to 12 to 2%. So we're not creating genius. We're not nurturing genius. So I have a foundation and we're changing that. But the age-old guide, map, theory is know thyself, know who you are, know what you're up to, and come from your real, authentic person. And I just want to say one other thing. For all of you who are listening, I have a bonus. If you listen to the end, you will get a code. I will give you a code. Contact me on LinkedIn. Put it in a message to me, your email and the code that I'm going to tell you at the end. And you will get the first chapter of my book, Set to Win, the neuroscience of your entrepreneurial success, which will take you right through the consultation.
Wow. I love that so much. And I'm going to listen to the end as well. So can I get the book, the chapter of the book as well?
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Okay. So, Katarina, I want you to tell us, the listeners, what's been your own entrepreneurial journey? How did you get to where you are at today?
Yeah, great question. It actually took me 20 years to discover that I was an entrepreneur and to discover the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation. I left school feeling that maybe I didn't want to go to university necessarily. I was pretty lost. I didn't think I was very good looking because I had this dark uniform. So I thought, well, I'm going to prove these thoughts wrong. I mean, my teachers didn't ever say, you're stupid or you're ugly or anything like that. But I thought, well, I'm going to apply for one of the top modeling schools in London. And if I get in, I can't be ugly. And so I did, and I got in. But I didn't really enjoy modeling. You're laughing because we think that after school we'll figure it all out and everything will fall into place. No, that doesn't happen as far as I know for anyone. So then I applied to Homerton College, Cambridge, which is not easy to get in, and I got in. So I thought, well, I can't be stupid if they're accepting me. So, and I loved that college. And I became a teacher. because I thought, well, even if I don't like it, I can always teach my children, which I did in the end. I loved the actual interaction with the children, but I didn't like the system at all. It's because it's outdated. It doesn't find the brilliance. It's not education. It's not educators to bring out the brilliance. And we don't do that with children. I mean, one teacher, 30 students, and they go, I don't have time to know every single student. Well, there is a way. You can find, there is now an app to find the brilliance of every single student, which we created. Okay, so I left teaching. I became a psychotherapist. I was one of the top in Stockholm, one of the top two. I had my own therapy center in Helsingborg. I never needed to advertise in Stockholm at all because one of my clients' secretaries just kept calling me and saying, please, Katarina, can you take that person, and that person, and that person? So I was fully booked, but I was not fulfilled. So I hope everybody's listening to this. If you're not fulfilled, then find another direction. So when I found my core values, 3 core values, truth, greatness, and vision, everything fell into place. And then I thought, well, I'm not the only one who needs to find my truth, my greatness, my vision. And greatness doesn't mean arrogance. It's actually quite humbling. It says in the Bible, don't hide your light under a bushel. Your light is for everyone to share, and there's also, that we all have talents within us. So that should come out at school. If it doesn't, find your talent through the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation or read my book, Find Your Talent, and share your talent with everyone. That's what we're supposed to do in life. So once I found the Entrepreneurial Blueprint, I've never looked back. I've never looked back. And I love every single day. And even the tough stuff, I don't love it, but I do it. Why? Because I'm resilient. Why am I resilient? Because I have a mission. And I'm not going to give that mission up. So that was my journey, 20 years.
That's so beautiful, Katarina. And I love that you talked about resilience. And I feel like that's a trait that is kind of lacking in most people now. I feel people aren't hungry to create extraordinary lives for themselves. So, what would you say to people? How can people almost like generate that ambition, that desire for not living a mediocre life, for creating an extraordinary life for themselves and their families? How can, because I say that because I'm an immigrant and I feel like a number of immigrants have that drive to succeed. But native people, I don't see that drive. Like when people come on my consults, for example, because I do consult before I take them into my program, like they're not excited to create success. And I feel like that's something I cannot generate for people. Like you have to come with the desire to succeed. So how can people generate that desire for themselves? How can people create a vision for themselves to make creating a successful business a priority?
Well, it comes down to the same thing. First of all, find yourself. Align yourself with your driving purpose and your vision. I mean, this is what we really should be doing in schools at 7 years old. And then, our journey. So, I don't blame people who are not motivated. I don't blame people who are not resilient because we're not trained to be motivated or resilient in schools. So how do you find it? Once you are on purpose and you've looked at your sabotage strategy and you've reinvented it and you're aligned, then resilience comes naturally. Why? Because you're not going to give up. You're not going to give up ever. But most people, who find a job, They're working for somebody else's vision. They don't
Mm,
create resilience. Why not? Because they're not motivated. They're just working for somebody else. And I would say at least 60% of people who have jobs just do the job and get the money, and that's it. Go home, spend it, and start the next week. But they don't put their heart and soul into it. So they don't create motivation, they don't create resilience, and we're almost programmed to wait for somebody else to come to us with solutions. You know, our teacher, our parents, our boyfriend, our girlfriend, our husband, you know, somebody.
mm.
But you know what? We have to do the work ourselves. And, you know, people like me can help you. There are coaches that can help. And, you know, if you want to create resilience in your life, find somebody who's resilient, find somebody who's motivated and motivated to help you as well.
Yeah,
Then,
that's
and yeah,
yeah, go ahead. I was just gonna say that's so beautiful. Go ahead.
no, no, yeah. I mean, it's a habit. Resilience is a habit, isn't it? But it starts with a passion. It starts with a mission. And if you're on target with your mission, you're going to do whatever it takes.
Yes. And just to share with the audience, the way I create passion and resilience in my life is I want to live a regret-free life. I want to live a life that matters. I want to be on my deathbed and feel like I left everything on earth. I don't want to go to heaven with any of the gifts God has blessed me with. And I feel like I'm on a mission to hear God say, daughter, I am proud of you. Like that's my mission. Like when I get to heaven, I want God to say, oh, Joy, you did a great job. That's my goal. So I love how you describe that. And that's kind of segues into my next question because before we hit the record button, we were conversing and we talked about spirituality and faith and how your spirituality and faith has helped you get to where you are today. So can you tell us more about that? Katarina.
Yes, absolutely. When I was in Sweden, I married an amazing man. I had two wonderful children, but I felt that there was something really missing in my life. So I actually went to, I mean, I had clients who asked me existentialist questions that I
Mm.
couldn't answer. So I thought, I have questions about what is happening to the world today. Who am I in that? How do people overcome these challenges that we're facing now? And I got answers. I found answers. It was a very, very good move. And at the same time, I found that I was an entrepreneur and started my entrepreneurial journey. So it all came from God. Just recently, I've come out of my spiritual cave, and I've admitted to myself, hey, you know, God gave me all of this. Am I going to hide that? No. And I think in this age, we need to reconnect with our spirituality, not necessarily with a religion, absolutely not with a cult, but I would say possibly with a teacher, but go into nature, connect with spirit, because entrepreneurship, success, life is a spiritual game. I promise you, it is. And it's all about growing into the person you've always wanted to be. Not admiring others. Well, you can admire others, but not being jealous of others who've succeeded more than you, maybe financially, but growing into the person that you've always wanted to be.
Wow, I love this so much, and I'm always having goosebumps because when you just talked about entrepreneurship and success being a spiritual thing, just 2 days ago, I posted on my social media about someone, one of my mentors. her client has just done $1 million in a coaching business in just 5 months. So we're just at the end of May. And so she did a screenshot of her bank account at the ATM with the $1 million and some change as the balance. So I took that screenshot and I did a post. And in that post, I said, many of us operate our businesses from the 3D lens, what we can see in the world. But I believe that illogical success, extraordinary success, happens at a higher frequency. And so, in that frequency where God operates, where the universe operates, there is no timeline, there is no time limit on how fast success can happen. So, I love how you said success, entrepreneurship is a spiritual thing. And when I look at the great people we look up to, the people we read their books, like Think and Grow Rich, many of those great men that have passed now, many of them were heavily rooted in spirituality. And
Yes.
so I subscribe to exactly what you said about entrepreneurship, success being a spiritual journey. And if people want to create extraordinary success, you will do yourself a huge favor to tune into your spirituality. So thank you for.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. I just want to also say that once I've just written a newsletter about that. Once your brain is open, your brain, by the way, doesn't think, your mind thinks. Okay, so that your brain is like a computer, but open up your brain, open up your mind to spirituality, to the source, because it's universal knowledge. Now,
Mm.
I'll give you an example. This morning, I wasn't sure what I was going to write in my newsletter. But about, I think about 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock this morning, God started speaking to me, and I just wrote it. I have these post-it notes the whole time. So I wake up, I put the light on, I write everything down that God tells me, and then I have a newsletter. So it becomes an amazing journey because God is with you. If you show courage and say, I'm going to leave corporate, I'm going to start my business, I'm going to succeed. Why? Because God wants me to. And then God will help you. Make God your boss, make God your inspirer, and become the greatest version of yourself.
Gosh, I'm going to start getting emotional because yes, God is my business partner. Like he's leading my business. And I can so relate to what you just said. I cannot tell you how many times I have just heard a voice to take action and I take the action and magic just happens. And I've
Yeah.
said this on this podcast, a number of episodes, but I'm going to say this again if someone is listening for the first time. So I run monthly master classes. And so for one of my master classes, I just had a voice to put the QR code for my program payment on the slides. Like I had never done that before because in the masterclass, when I deliver value, I tell them, okay, if you want to book a call, here's the link to book a call. But that morning, just before the masterclass, I heard that voice and I go ahead, I do the QR code, I put it there. Lo and behold, I get to that point in my class, put on the slide with the QR code, and then somebody paid live 5K to join my program, paid in full.
Wow.
Call. The
Congratulations.
best thing is this was being recorded, right? And so the person who paid came off mute to announce to everybody on the call that he had just paid. And that
Yeah.
just changed the atmosphere in the room. And I was just having goosebumps. In fact, at the end of the class, I just cried. I cried because I felt so much love that God still thought of me to give me the. I just felt so much love, and just knowing that I have God looking out for me. And
Yes.
it was just magical. And this is recorded here in my YouTube channel. And then many people go watch that episode, like that particular one. And then they scan the QR code on the screen and then they join my program. So I can so relate to what you said about just hearing that voice. And it takes skill because we live in a world where we are so distracted by so many things. The computer, the TV, everything about life is so busy now. And I feel like people need to learn the skill to tune into their spirituality and hear that voice. Like, why wouldn't you take advantage of such a free resource that you have that can help you scale your business faster than you ever imagined? So I know I didn't plan to say all of this, but I just wanted to say that. Thank you so much, Katarina, for saying it.
And thank you so much, Joy, for listening and for acting. You heard God and you acted on it. You didn't say, "Oh, no, 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 that's a terrible idea. I can't do that." No, you listened and you acted and you got the reward, because God knows what He's doing in business
Mm,
and everything. I mean, He knew beforehand that this person was going to give you $5,000. He knew that person needed your help.
mm.
So yeah, well
So
done.
beautiful. Thank you so much. And like we are way over time, and
Yes,
I
you
feel like
are.
I can go ahead for even an hour more because this conversation has really been a blessing. So before I let you go, Katerina, tell people how to take the next step with the Entrepreneurship Blueprint Consultation, as well as give us the code so we can get the chapter of your book.
Yes. So number one, if you're really interested in doing the 1 day consultation with me, go to LinkedIn, connect with me, send me a message. I'm interested. I want to know more. And I would love to help you. You have 15 minutes for free and up to 13 minutes to discuss it. And no one is obliged to take it. But if you're ready, contact me. Listen to God, listen to your heart, your soul, your spirit, and I can help you. And by the way, I guarantee my work 100%. If you're not satisfied after 4 hours, you don't pay. Or if you've already paid, you get your money back. No one's ever asked. No one. No one. Most people think they can make $1 million in the first year, but usually they make $1 million by the 5th year. So, all right. And the code. So, congratulations. Joy and I are having so much fun here that we want to go on and on, but it has to come to an end at some point. So, what's the code? The code is joy. Joy. It's the joy of making money, the joy of being with joy. And thank you. I want to thank you very much. So, LinkedIn again, Katarina Hanssens Carlsson, or on LinkedIn, I'm Catherine Carlson as well. Leave your email and the code JOY, and I will send you the first chapter of my book.
Oh my gosh. And now I am officially emotional. The code is joy. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. This is such a blessing. And listeners, do not worry. The link will be in the show notes. Whether you are watching on YouTube, check the description. And if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, go into the show notes. You're going to see the link to Katarina's LinkedIn. So you can go DM Katarina, leave your email, and tell her you are interested in one, the Entrepreneurial Blueprint Consultation, as well as the first chapter of her book. So, all of that will be in the show notes. It's been a joy, honestly, having this conversation with you, Katarina, and I feel like you have to come back. I'm going to
I
try
will
to bring.
back, Joy, because I've had such a great time with you.
Thank you so much. And gosh, I'm so blessed. I'm going to listen to this episode, like I said, over and over again because you have given us such wisdom. And I believe that you've shared your gifts with us today. And I know God is so proud. And with the wisdom you've given our listeners, somebody's going to take this wisdom, run with it, and change their life forever. And I think that's the blessing of sharing our gifts. So thank you so much. I don't want to have the last word. I'm going to leave it to you to close us out.
Well, I was on a podcast the other day, Joy, and it was like this. It was a lot of fun. And I was asked, "What are your last words?" And there's 3 words.
Mm.
And God spoke through me. The 3 words are go, get, God. Don't expect
Mm.
God to come after you. Go get God. We've turned our back on God, but go get God and embrace God in your life. You don't have to be religious. You don't have to go to church, because God, by the way, is pure joy. There you go, joy. Joy, pure love. And God understands you better than you will ever understand yourself. It says in the Bible that God knows every hair on your head. Well, do we know that? No. Well, if you're bald, that's easy, but God is pure joy. So go get God. Embrace God in your life. In this age of political mess, institutions are crumbling. Go get God.
Well, thank you. I needed to hear that today.
Beautiful.
Thank you all for listening. We'll see you back here on the next episode.
Yeah, I can hear the emotion in your voice, Joy. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure. And I'd love to come back.
Hey, very quickly before you go, I just wanted to take a moment to thank you from the bottom of my heart for spending time with me today. I hope today's episode gave you something powerful to add to your business toolbox, something you can come back to anytime you need a little extra motivation in your business. If you loved today's episode, the best way you can support me and the show is to leave me a review and also to share this with an incredible businesswoman like yourself. And if you're ready to create consistent 10K months with ease and alignment, I invite you to apply to join my 6 months mastermind. Visit joyrowland.com to book your free complimentary discovery call. I cannot wait to help you step into your next level. Until next time, stay aligned, stay confident, and keep creating joyful money. Bye for now.